This RTD Interactive Town Hall is currently in music hold. In a few minutes, you'll get first-hand information from RTD on changes that will transform public transportation in the Denver region. If you'd like to ask a question during tonight's event, press star 3 on your telephone keypad at any time. Please note this call may be monitored, recorded, or rebroadcast. Your RTD Interactive Town Hall will begin shortly.
Good evening, and thank you for joining this live virtual telephone town hall meeting hosted by the Regional Transportation District, also known as RTD. I'm Roger, and I'll be your moderator tonight as we have a conversation with RTD Director Shelley Cook, who represents District L. District L includes all of Arvada, a small portion of Westminster, unincorporated Southwest Adams County, and a portion of unincorporated Jefferson County. Joining us to answer your questions are several staff members from RTD, and they will introduce themselves during the call. Tonight we'll be covering several topics, including customer safety initiatives, RTD's fare study and equity analysis, current recruitment efforts, and the next steps for Reimagine RTD. This is your opportunity to share your thoughts about RTD and ask questions. If this is your first time on a virtual telephone town hall, here's how it works. To ask a question, just press star 3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information and get you in the queue. Once the operator has your information, you can listen to the conversation until it's your turn, and then when I call your name, please repeat your question for our live audience. We want to answer as many questions as we can tonight, so when it's your turn, please be brief. If you're participating online at rtd-denver.com/town hall, you can ask a question or take part in polls directly from the streaming player. And folks that are on the phone and want to view the slide deck, just head over to our YouTube page. In addition to answering questions live, we'll be asking 4 survey questions during the call, and I'll explain that process later. So now it's my pleasure to introduce District L Director Shelley Cook. Thank you for joining us tonight, Director.
Well, thank you, Roger, and good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining the conversation tonight. I appreciate you taking the time and for your interest. I thought I'd start on a positive note, and Roger outlined what District L includes. So I thought I'd highlight a couple, 3 events that are taking place in the next few days that you can get to via transit. Tomorrow, the 10th, at 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. at the Irving Library, 7392 Irving Street. Sensational Sharks, a program that includes experts from the Downtown Aquarium. This is a free program, and you can get there via the B line or the 31 bus, just a couple blocks walk off of either one of those. Then the next day, on the 11th, Saturday, the second Saturday street festival and concert series in Old Town Arvada, and you can get there via the G line. It's a free event. They've got kids zone and all kinds of things for the whole family. That goes on from 5 to 10 p.m. In addition to the G line, which will let you out right at the street festival, there's also the 52, 72, and 76 buses. And then finally, next Thursday on the 16th, there's a program at Anythink Library. That's just off of 76th and Pecos in Promac. It's 7611 Hilltop Circle, and the program then, 4:30 p.m., is Invisible Ink. So thank you, Roger. Before we go into our first topic, though, I'd love to learn a little bit about the folks who are on the call. How about we ask our first survey question?
All right, let's do that. As Director Cook just mentioned, we'd like to learn a little bit about those of you joining us tonight. It's easy to participate. All you need to do is use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. And if you're participating online, just type or click your response. So here's that question. How frequently do you ride RTD services? Press 1 for every day. Press 2 for once or twice a week. Press 3 for once or twice a month. Press 4 if you ride a few times per year. And press 5 if you do not currently ride with RTD. Please record your votes now. I'll share the results with you in just a moment. And again, if you have a question or comment, press star 3 on your telephone. Or if you're online, ask a question directly from the streaming player. There has been a lot of news coverage about safety concerns in the Denver metro area. I'd like to ask Steve Martingano, the interim chief of RTD's Transit Police Division, to introduce himself and talk about what RTD is doing to help improve safety on transit and at RTD stations and bus stops. Chief, welcome.
No, thanks, Roger. Again, my name is Steve Martingano. I'm the interim police chief for the RTD Transit Police Division. I've been here for 6.5 years, law enforcement for 29 years, 7 of those with the city of Nevada. So I am under Director Cook's tutelage here. So what we have heard is our customers' concerns about inappropriate behavior that they are seeing around the city lately. As more and more people are utilizing transit again, whether they are being asked to come back to the office or just going, out on a night on the town, see the Avalanche and the Stanley Cup. Safety and security is a top priority for RTD. Every day, RTD staff works hard to make sure customers get to their destination safely. One of the area concerns is unwanted activities at transit areas, especially the Denver Union Station. So in April, collaboration with the city and county of Denver, RTD announced security enhancements to the bus concourse, which is the bus terminal that's underneath the rail platform. Short term, we're changing some lighting. We're illuminating spaces that did not have lighting. We're also converting entrance and exit points to emergency exits to allow for better pedestrian flow. And we're doing consistent deep cleaning to make sure that area is comfortable for when you're coming to utilize transportation. Short term, long term, over the next 12 to 16 months, the bus concourse will be converted to a paid fare area, and this is to restrict access to only those who are using the buses to commute. So this is going to involve a redesign of the area. This project is expected to cost anywhere from $10 to $15 million. And although we recognize this to be an expensive upgrade, and under our strategic priority of financial success, RTD takes very seriously the management of all of our financial resources, and this project is no exception. So what we are going to do is reinvest funds from the return of the approximately $29 million credit risk premium, which was part of the original investment into Union Station, and that's going to help to implement and construct design improvements to enhance the customer experience when utilizing the station.
So there's a lot going on down at Denver Union Station. How can customers stay up to date on these changes?
Thanks, Roger. Well, RTD has launched a web page dedicated to providing updates on the facility enhancement. It's at Denver Union Station. We call it DUS. That web page is rtd-denver.com/projects/restoring-DUS. And so again, that's rtd-denver.com/projects/restoring-DUS. Customers can also sign up for a newsletter on the website. And in addition to the enhancement at Union Station, RTD is making other changes to ensure our customers are safe while traveling. It's the top priority, making sure our passengers and customers are safe and are able to get to their destination. So, Chief, would you talk about those changes?
Yeah, absolutely, Director. So in March, I became the interim police chief, and we broke our police division into a more proactive policing into 4 sectors. One is a bus team, a rail team, a community engagement team, which, as you had mentioned, they're going to be at the second Saturday. We'll have a table there with some giveaways, so please stop by and see them. And we also have a mental health and homeless outreach impact team. The mental health mental health impact team, for those that don't know, RTD was the first transit agency in the country to hire mental health clinicians to assist with individuals experiencing mental health episodes. Those clinicians ride with our officers, and they go out and contact individuals. We also won a grant where we now have a homeless outreach coordinator. We also utilize secondary employment officers from Denver, Aurora, and Thornton, and we also have contracted security personnel. These changes in partnership with the local police departments are being utilized to help RTD quickly respond to customer safety issues.
Roger, one thing I'd add to that, and Chief, thank you for being proactive on this. One thing we've done too, we secured a grant, I think you mentioned that, and are partnering via that grant with Jefferson Center for Mental Health. That's a local West Side, well-respected organization here. So I just wanted to add that and to say thank you and to thank the Jefferson Center for Mental Health folks who have been helping out with this.
Thank you for mentioning them. They're doing great work down there. Chief, sometimes we get calls from customers who wonder why the commuter rail lines, which includes the A and G lines, have armed security on each train, but light rail lines do not always have an officer or one of our private security personnel traveling along. Why is that?
Roger, that's a great question. And the reason why that is the Federal Railroad Administration, also known as the FRA, they require a second crew member to be present on all of our commuter rail vehicles. But this requirement, they do not have to be on our light rail vehicles. So the A line, the B line, the G line, and the N line will have a second crew member. While we don't have security personnel on every single light rail vehicle trip, our rail impact team, as mentioned, as well as our security personnel, are on platforms and riding trains where they are checking fares and ensuring customers are traveling safely. One thing I definitely ask all the callers here is to please download our free Transit Watch app. It's called the RTD Transit Watch app. It's available both on Apple and Android platforms. It allows customers to report security and safety concerns easily and discreetly. And then for those that don't have the ability to download an app, please go ahead and call 303-299-2911. Again, 303-299-2911. Either utilizing the app or utilizing that phone number, we'll go to one of our 2 police dispatch centers, both running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The one thing we ask is when you do contact us, please be specific as possible. When reporting a situation, include the location and the description of any persons involved. And anytime you utilize those apps and you let us know what's happening out there on our services, you are helping our team resolve situations and also providing information that help us determine where we should be focusing our resources.
Thank you, Chief. Again, you can download the Transit Watch app on both your Apple and Android smartphones. And if you don't have a smartphone, you can reach RTD's Transit Police at 303-299-2911. Before we start taking your questions, here's the answer to our first survey question. Again, we asked, how frequently do you ride RTD services? And about 35% said you do not currently ride, 31% said a few times per year, and 21% said once or twice per month. We appreciate those of you that choose to take transit. It's environmentally friendly and helps reduce pollution and congestion. And for those of you who don't currently use transit, RTD is really working hard to improve services. So give us a try. All right, let's go to questions. Again, press star 3 to get in the queue. Jennifer's standing by, and she'll get your information real quickly. First up is Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Hi there. So regular panelists, these town halls probably know the question that's going to come next. And I thank them all for their patience. And another shout out for Jennifer, who's taken this same question. I promise for the next round of town halls, I won't do this again. So in the interest of fair and balance, and for the last time, to Director Cook, when was the last time you rode an RTD bus or train, and how was your experience?
Well, thank you, Richard. I've been looking forward to this question. I've heard about it from the other directors. Actually, I'm really fortunate because I live in Old Town, Arvada, and so I have access to the train and multiple bus lines. So with that as preface, I ride every day, every single day, and certainly the G line, sometimes the B. I also weekly transfer to the E and then have dinner with a friend down in Denver. But just for today, I took the G line downtown to go to a Streets for People summit. And then I transferred to the 15, also went through the bus barn downstairs. It was nice and clean, as Director Busick mentioned. And then walked from Colfax and Broadway down to History, Colorado. And on the way back, I had to exit early because I wanted to get back for my town hall here. So I hopped the W back to Union Station and then onto the G here. So thank you for asking that. I wish everybody had access to the services I do. And if I can just state one aspirational aim, it would be to help improve the number who are. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Director. Here's a question submitted online from RT. He says, I ride RTD to Union Station and walk about 10 minutes on the 16th Street Mall to my office. Any plans to improve safety for RTD riders from Union Station to office locations on the 16th Street Mall?
Roger, I'll go ahead and take that question. Again, Steve Mongano, Interim Police Chief. So we do have security personnel not only at the platforms as well as the bus terminal, but also on the 16th Street Mall shuttles. We dedicate several security officers to hop on those buses, and they go back and forth between Civic and Union Station. We also as I mentioned earlier, we have secondary employment. So we have a secondary employment contract with the City and County of Denver. We have Denver police officers, 2 of them that ride 7 days a week, 20 hours a day, and their sole responsibility is between Union Station and Civic Center and the 16th Street Mall, just to make sure that they're assisting customers like yourself. Please go ahead and download that app, or please call 303-299-2911. Let us know what you're seeing out there, the times as soon as you utilize that app, we take that data to understand when our customers are seeing issues, where they're seeing them, and then that's how we deploy our resources. So I can't stress that app enough.
If I could put a plug
I think
into
Archie
that
will.
too.
Yep.
Sorry, Roger. I need to use that chat. So I downloaded the app, of course, and had a chance to use it, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks ago. I was at Alameda Station and saw some questionable behavior. So I used the Transit app the Transit Watch app, and I got a reply immediately, and this was pretty late at night. So I just highly recommend that. And as Chief will say, he uses the information to help manage and schedule his forces and so forth. So thank you so much.
And I think it also is probably worth saying that Archie was talking about walking between Union Station on down to his office, and we don't manage all security for the entire mall. Is that correct, Chief? Denver Police is also, patrolling that area all day long.
Correct, right. And then the downtown business partnership, and I apologize, I don't have their information on me, but they also have security teams out there as well. So there is a lot of security devoted there. There's a lot of resources. The only thing I could definitely ask is be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you are. I work downtown myself on Blake Street, and I see individuals and their heads are sometimes in their phones too much, and they don't see what's happening around them. So please, as you're walking, look around. If you notice something, go ahead and utilize the app at that time. And the 16th Street Mall does go up and down, the 16th Street. So even if you utilize our app, our police dispatch team has a great relationship with the City and County of Denver's police dispatch. So even if it's something that RTD is not responsible for, they will go ahead and reach out and contact the local police agencies, no matter where you're utilizing the app, to get the assistance for that's needed in that city as well.
All right, thank you, Chief. Great question so far. Again, if you are on the phone and would like to ask a question, just press *3 on your keypad. And if you're participating online, just submit your question directly from the streaming player. We are going to move to the next topic for tonight's call, RTD's Fair Study and Equity Analysis. We have Bill Soroy on the call with us. Bill, would you introduce yourself and provide an update?
Thanks, Roger. This is Bill Soroy. I'm the Senior Manager of Transit-Oriented Communities in the Planning Department in RTD. I'm part of the project management team for the FAIR study. I've been in RTD a little over almost 18 years now, so I've kind of been around the block and seen a lot of the ins and outs of RTD. With our fairs, one of the things that we've heard pretty consistently over the last few years is people are concerned about how expensive our fairs are and how complicated our fare structure is. One of our strategic priorities is customer excellence. And, at RTD, we strive to deliver good customer service, high-quality customer service. And the FAIR study really is about that. And we are really trying to improve our customer experience when taking transit and improving access to our access to transit. So really, this project really looks to understand customers' opinions and preferences on RTD's fare system. We're trying to understand people's pain points, trying to understand areas that we could, change and simplify the system so it makes it easier to access. Thus far, we've had a couple public meetings, and including one in Spanish. We've also had set up 3 customer feedback panels, as well as numerous community engagement forums that we worked with some of our community partners on. We're excited about some of the feedback that we've received thus far. In addition to that, we've also allowed customers to provide feedback through an online survey. That survey was initiated in April, and then it closed in early May. We got over 2,400 responses. So that was, we're really excited about that. And that the survey was available in multiple languages, and we did get some feedback in some of those languages. So we're, again, excited about kind of reaching all of our customers in this process, and we're off to a good start.
So is the community engagement for the FAIR study over now? Where exactly is RTD in the process currently?
We've really just started, Roger. Again, this past month, we've really kind of finished our first round, which I said was focused on getting feedback on our current FAIR structure, understanding people's likes and dislikes. We're starting the next kind of phase of the project, where we're kind of starting to investigate different options for responding to some of those concerns and issues, dealing with things like discount levels and fare levels, and how we deal with different, maybe possibly make adjustments to different pass programs. So we'll be doing that through the course of the next couple months, and then later on in the summer and in the fall, we'll be focused on developing some concrete alternatives, which will be focused on specific changes that we will then model and get information. Is we have an expert on board that can help us with that, to understand impacts to things like revenues or fare box revenues, and how things may impact on ridership. Is there's going to be trade-offs of any changes that we do, so we're trying to understand what those are and get feedback on those from everybody involved. So we'll look to to the end of the year, kind of modify to get that feedback on some of those different alternative approaches, and then develop what I would say is a preferred alternative that we would probably take a variety of different things from those different types of things that we modeled, and take that to the board for consideration, and then out to the public for review, and then hopefully in the spring take back a modified kind of recommended alternative to the board for their consideration and adoption.
Okay, so just butting in here, Shelley. Bill, would we have a chance to take a look at those trade-offs ourselves along with the public? And where can people learn more about this whole process and the developments as they are put in place?
Yeah. Thanks, Director. Yes. I mean, everybody. The plan is to be transparent about kind of what some of those trade-offs are in terms of if we go with having more discounts. What does that mean for revenues, and how does that impact service? We will be reviewing all those trade-offs with the board and with our customers and stakeholders. Like I said, later this year. As far as getting information on the study, the best place to go is our website. And if you just go to the RTD webpage and type in FAIR study, it'll take you right to the website. And that will be able to get you, information about upcoming meetings and, updates to, progress on study milestones. In addition to that, I wanted to make sure everybody understands that we offer a variety of discounts for seniors, youth. And we also have a LIVE program that provides a discount to some of our low-income riders. And that information can also be found on the RTD website. And if you go onto the RTD website and type in discount fares, that will take you right to that information, and you can go from there.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bill and Director. Let's take a moment to ask our second survey question. For callers, again, use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response, or if you're online, just type or click your answer. Here's the question. Do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable, even if it results in less service? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, and press 3 if you're not sure. Please record your vote now, and I'll share the results with you shortly, and let's go back to questions. How about Dennis first? Dennis, go ahead. Dennis, you're live with our audience. Go ahead.
Okay. The question I had was how come they can't get the electronics fixed on the route coming through Arvada? They honk their horns quite often when it should be a silent crossing. And if it's calm and I'm outside, I can hear the horn at possibly 8 or 9 different crossings. How come they can't get it fixed?
So, one thing I can hop in here, Roger, if it's okay. So, Dennis, thank you. And I'm familiar with the train horn noise on the G line as I'm in Old Town and can hear it myself. There are multiple reasons why they may need to blow the horn. Can you hear me there? Getting a lot of feedback. Okay, we're getting a lot of feedback. One of the most common ones is when the positive train control, which is a federally required provision, a safety provision, if that's not activated, then the operators are required by law to blow the horns at all grade crossings. And they work actively to minimize the number of those. But I'm going to get in touch with you later to give you a number where you can call and report them. A second reason why you may have that is if there's a signal problem or something at the crossing that is causing, malfunction or a visibility problem, something like that. And then finally, another reason is if there's something in the railroad bed or a person working alongside, then the operator has discretion and often will blow their horn in order to warn people, in order to assure extra safety. So thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your patience with hearing the horns too.
All right. Thank you, Director. Let's take an online question from JP. He says, if there are 2 RT employees per train, why were the A line and others shut down this morning? Or Nate, let's see, who would like to take that? We end up with some dropped runs because of our staffing shortages, as I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I was just looking up my notifications. I get all the notifications on the A-line, and the trip I found canceled this morning was because there wasn't a second crew member aboard. So we can talk about this, but for the commuter rail lines A, B, G, and N, the FRA regulates those, and it requires there to be a second crew member on board always in order to operate. And if that person doesn't show up, then it can't go forward. So what I showed for the A-line this morning was no second crew member. I don't know about any other cancellations, and I'll turn it over to staff for that.
Well, I understand, Roger, this is Bill, that the disruptions this morning were associated with federally required testing that's going to affect service on the A, B, and G lines as well as the N line. And I think it's going to also be continuing on Saturday and Sunday, so people can expect some more disruptions as they look to ride the trains this weekend.
Thank you, Bill. I think full closures Saturday and Sunday for that federally required testing, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
all right.
That's correct, Roger. They'll have shuttle buses at the final stops. That's correct. The 48 hours starting Saturday and continuing through the close of service on Sunday. They'll not have the Union Station open, and what they'll do is they'll run bus bridges, shuttles from the last station in. I think that's 38th and Blake on the A line, the Coliseum stop on the N line, and 41st and Fox for the B and G. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Director. Here are the results of our second survey question. Again, we asked, do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable, even if it results in less service? And 37% said no, 32% said yes, and 31% said they weren't sure. So basically split evenly 3 ways there. Thanks for your responses. We'll have a couple more questions here as we move along during the call. For those of you that joined late, good evening. This is a live virtual telephone town hall hosted by the Regional Transportation District. I'm Roger, and we are talking with District L Director Shelley Cook. We also have agency staff joining Director Cook to answer your questions. Again, as a reminder, to ask a question, press *3 on your telephone keypad, and if you're participating online at rtd-denver.com/town hall, just input your question directly on the streaming player. All right, let's take some more questions. How about let's go to Jay. Jay, go ahead. Jay, you are live with our audience. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. I ride from the Federal Center Station to 38th and Blake 5 days a week. And what are you guys going to do to stop the homeless and people that are just hopping on the trains, free rides, without getting checked, that are not during like the peak hours? Because I ride 8 o'clock at night and 10:30 in the morning, and there's just, most of the time I'm the only one paying. And like the only time I see any time, and then I'll like do transfers on buses, and buses are the only places that check to see if, you know, I have paid.
Roger, I'll go ahead.
Steve, do you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's Steve Martin, interim police chief. So, you know, with some of the staffing issues that are affecting, you know, everybody, we do have a little bit of a staffing issue in regards to the security personnel. So, you know, we have been, again, putting them in strategic areas based off of you know, incidents that we're seeing, and, you know, and from your customer issues and calling in and utilizing the app. Now, in regards to the fare, we have been doing fare sweeps. So we have been randomly doing, you know, fare checks at certain platforms. We do several a month. And I will tell you that I know the perception may be that they're not buying fare, but every time we've done a fare sweep, no matter what day of the week or what time of the day, the highest that we have received out of, you know, contacting thousands of people during the few hours that we do the fare sweeps, the highest we've had is like 4.8% non-compliance, which is still very, very low, especially industry-wide. So you know, a lot of individuals, they may appear, you know, to the eye to individuals that they might be unhoused and such, but a lot of individuals do get fare from different organizations. You know, a lot of treatment centers, a lot of homeless outreach centers, as well as the hospitals. They buy abundance of fare and they give it to, you know, individuals to get from place to place. So I can tell you that, you know, the vast majority, over 90+%, have fare when we are checking.
All right, thank you. Let's take a question online from John. John asks, what is the status of the lawsuit between RTD and Denver Transit Partners? Who wants to take that? I guess, Director?
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can share with that.
Yeah, I don't think we have anybody from our general counsel's office on board. So, you know, I don't know that there has been any change since the trial was concluded in late 2020. And so we're waiting for the judge to issue the judge's decision. And that's unfortunately all I can offer at this point. If I'll you know, if you'd like to get in touch with me, shelley.cook@rtd-denver.com. I'll repeat that later in the day. I'll see if I can find out more and provide a fuller answer. But as of the latest that we knew, there was no ruling in that yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. All right, before we move on to our next topic, let's ask our third survey question. Again, use your telephone keypad to enter your response, or click or enter your response online. Here's the question. What factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most? Press 1 for more affordable fares. Press 2 for a system where you feel safe. Press 3 for more frequent bus and train service. And press 4 for more service coverage in your area. While you're recording your vote, I'll ask Director Cook to introduce our next topic.
Yeah, Roger, let's talk about a big one. It's workforce, and we like to call it people power at RTD. At RTD, we have a workforce of over 3,500 employees. The positions include bus and rail operators, mechanics, administrative staff, and many more. And one of our strategic priorities is employee ownership. And that's through which we mean to attract and retain a highly skilled and engaged workforce. So as our general manager, CEO likes to say, we're the people who move people. And to help keep our transit system reliable, we're looking for people for key positions. If you or a friend or a family member are looking for a meaningful career, and it is meaningful, ask any bus operator, and they will tell you that a big source of the meaning in their life is being able to help people who rely on them to get from place, to medical appointments, to shop, to work, etc. Right now, RTD is hiring for positions across the agency, bus and rail operators, body shop technicians, and mechanics. And many of those key positions are eligible for a $4,000 signing bonus. Thank you, Roger.
Director, what are some of the benefits you would like to share, maybe that you're excited about for those considering joining the RTD team?
Well, we recently concluded negotiations and have had approved a new collective bargaining agreement with our represented employees, the members of the Amalgamated Transit Union ATU Local 1001 and between RTD, that was ratified in 2022 February. It offers all kinds of additional benefits to employees with positions that are covered under that agreement. For example, competitive wages. I have here a list of some of the positions. Bus and rail operators now start at $24 an hour, and that will go up to $26 by 2024. Body shop techs start at $27.98 an hour. Service and cleaning personnel start at $18.42 an hour, and a public safety dispatcher starts at $53,000 a year. So, in addition to those, there are benefits improvements in multiple areas. Just one example is an improvement in the way that the contributions are made to and accruals are made in the pension plan. There are increased allowances for people who have tools, that sort of thing. If you're interested in joining, and I hope you'll think about it or encourage family members or friends, then go to rtd-denver.com/careers. That's rtd-denver.com/careers. And if you don't see a position you're interested in now, we'll check back often, because with 3,500 people, there's always something new. So Roger, why don't we take another couple of questions?
You bet. Let's hear next from Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Hi there. So hello again. So following the earlier question, I can tell you that all 15 RTD directors have used service in the recent past, which is great. More intriguing, of the 15 directors, only 4 of them, including yourself, Director Cook, said they'd used a local bus. The other 11 named what I would call the kind of quality RTD services: the trains, Flatiron Flyer, Skyride. They get good marketing, they're fast, they're frequent. Transit advocates would probably say that this is not really a surprise that 11 directors could only name, could ride the quality stuff. The local bus network suffers from poor coverage, infrequent schedules, long connections, and some of the marketing support seems a lot less. Would you say that after the next priority for RTD is possibly to remarket this bus network properly and try to get the numbers of people using it up, including all the directors?
I could let the marketing folks chime in, but first I have to kind of take issue. I think that the steps being taken currently include improving frequency of bus service on our core routes. That's part of the system optimization plan that Bill Soroy will talk about. And in many ways, I love the train. I'm like a little kid on the train. But in many ways, the buses are more personable, and they provide, a communal setting that I find very appealing. And you can, the drivers are always friendly and will offer help, or if you tell them you're looking for a stop, they'll make sure to make you aware of it. So I just want to argue that the bus, while a different service, is, has its strengths relative to the train and vice versa. And I hope with these changes that provide for more frequency on our core routes. I'll tell you that 15 today, that operated every 10 minutes. The 0 down Broadway, that's every 15. We'll start to see the SOP provides for an increase in the service delivery frequency of the 72, going from hourly to every half hour. It provides for increased service, I think it's 20 minutes between Old Town Arvada and Belmar along the 76. So there are plans in place. I'm sure that marketing and communicating that will be part of the plan as well. So I'd let Bill Soroy chime in too if he wishes.
Thanks, Director. And just would wholeheartedly agree with you. I think the primary purpose of the system optimization plan, which I'll talk about in just a second, is to really make our system more efficient and better and improve those connections that you talked about.
Right. Thank you both. Let's here are the results of our third survey question. We asked what factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most. And 46% said a safer system, 31% said more service in your area, and 15% said more frequent bus and train services. So this probably is a good time to talk about Reimagine RTD, the agency's plan for the next 5 years. So Bill, take it away. Bill, you may be muted.
Thank you, Roger. I knew somebody had to do it on this call. So thanks. At RTD, we strive to be a strong community partner, and by providing value for our customers, as well as to the broader region as a whole. And I think this is our first strategic priority at the agency that it was just adopted by the board in our strategic plan. And really we want to focus on this, and it's really key to the whole Reimagine initiative. Reimagine really is focused on what's next, and in particular, kind of the short and long term. COVID and the pandemic has really had a huge impact on us as an agency. We initially in April 2020 did a very large service cut to address the challenges with the pandemic, and have been slowly trying to build back service since that point. And you've heard about our challenges on the operator side, and those continue to be ongoing challenges. And so we're working on that. The system optimization plan really is intended to balance some of those resource challenges that we have with the, on the workforce side, with the kind of the financial realities, really to kind of put the best system that we can put forward over the next 4 or 5 years. In addition to that, we are doing a longer-term plan for the agency called the Mobility Plan for the Future, and that really is focused on, how the agency can grow and evolve between now and 2050. And, there are some big challenges on that end too, and so we're looking at what kind of strategies can we put in place as an agency to address some of those issues. So with the system optimization plan, that will be considered. The final plan for that will be considered by the board next month. It has gone through a pretty extensive review process. The initial draft was released at the beginning of this year, and the comment period closed initially in March. But the final draft, which you made some changes to that initial draft, will be considered by the board in July. It will look to make recommendations for how service can be improved over the next 5 years, and kind of given our financial and resource constraints. We've had pretty extensive public and stakeholder involvement in the SOP. And like I said, the implementation we face, and it will be basically dependent upon resources, and the big driver of that will be our operator resources. So, we look to implement things as soon as we can, but really it's dependent upon our workforce and our people power. The Mobility Plan for the Future, like I said, is our long-term plan. That will really help the board with some, policy and information about the future that they can use to help guide some of their future decisions about transit and the agency as a whole. And we hope for the board to consider that in July as well.
Bill, can I interject
Bill.
a question here? I wanted to tag on to Bill. That mobility plan for the future, as I understand it, we're going to see a presentation about this, by the way, coming up here soon, I think. Will that include, as we've talked about, the provision for partnerships that may allow the agency working with governmental and private, nonprofits to leverage our resources to extend services, not just in our active area, but in areas that don't currently have service. Can you talk about that a little bit, Bill?
Sure, yeah, and that's a big part of, like you said, the mobility plan for the future, and even the system optimization plan in the shorter term. I think we do have some recommendations to the board about providing some resources that we can use as an agency to leverage partnerships with others to, like you said, with the possibility of providing service where there's kind of gaps. And we do look to establish a more formalized partnership program as part of Reimagine, and look forward. Like I said, I think that, with the challenges of the agency resource-wide, I think having, good partnerships with our stakeholders and, other constituents is going to be really important for the future of transit in the region.
Yeah, if I could give an example, I love the Smart Commute Metro North example, and I know Vince talked about it at the last meeting, but here's how that might work. There's an Amazon facility up beyond the fixed route service that RTD provides, up like 144th and I-25. And Smart Commute, which is an transit advocacy organization, with Dr. Cog and Amazon, did some analysis to determine where people were likely commuting from. And then they worked together with the agency to secure money that funded a flex ride. It's kind of a hybrid up there. It does fixed route part of the day and flex ride for the rest. And that has turned out to be very successful. One of the more successful flex rides that we have in our system, and it all came about because of a partnership such as we want to see more of. So thank you so much for the work you're doing on that, Bill.
All right, thank you. Let's take a question next from Anna. She says, based on the amount of taxes RTD receives, why is RTD so unreliable? People rely on RTD to get to work, and due to unreliable service, folks need to find alternative transportation. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how people might be able to mitigate some of the challenges when we do have a dropped run?
Sure. This is Tegan Rice with, I'm the Senior Service Planner and Scheduler for RTD for the rail team. Personally, I subscribe to the Rider Alert, and they've updated the system now so that you can get them via text message instead of having to check your email. We are still experiencing an operator shortage, so unfortunately, even though we may not have enough operators on the extra board to cover last-minute call-ins, dispatch goes ahead and submits those runs that are dropped. So it's usually like in my example, the E-line, there's 9 trains that run that schedule. So a dropped run equals about 1 trip of every 9 trips that is dropped out of the schedule. So in my experience, Control tries to space the trains, and occasionally even I think bus ops will mitigate and adjust the headways to accommodate it to kind of even out the service if there is a dropped run. However, also operations tries to make sure that we always cover the first and last trips of the service, especially the last night trip, even if it means putting a supervisor in a vehicle to run that last trip on a train, just to make sure that we're not leaving passengers stranded at the station.
All right, thank you. Director, do you have any other comments? I mean, this really gets down to it's a staffing shortage.
Yeah, that's our near-term constraint. It's the reason that we're trying to emphasize so much the need for folks who can apply and join our great group of both frontline and administrative personnel. And once we can get a handle on that, that will give us the wherewithal to begin to increase service, have to cancel fewer runs, and so forth. In the meantime, I see our staff getting creative. I know that the chief is working on some ideas about how that second crew member can be filled so that we can both cut down on the number of cancellations on commuter rail and at the same time increase our patrol in places where it's needed most. So we'll be creative. In the meantime, we just really need to ramp up our workforce. So thanks, Roger. Thanks, Anna.
All right, we have one more survey question this evening. Callers, use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response, and those online, just click or enter your response. Here's the question: how satisfied are you with RTD's services overall? Press 1 for very satisfied, press 2 for satisfied, press 3 for somewhat dissatisfied, and press 4 for very dissatisfied. Again, register your vote. We'll tell you the results in just a couple of minutes. But at this point, Director, we are almost out of time this evening. What else would you like to share with our audience this evening about RTD, or maybe your district specifically?
Yeah, actually there is an interesting comparison. I mean, we hear a lot in the media, and justifiably, about how the pandemic and resulting changes in commuting patterns and such has really caused a hit on ridership. Well, we have an interesting situation in Arvada in that the G line was started operating in 2019, only months before the pandemic hit. But the agency used to produce a report called the Quality of Life Report, and in 2018 they took a look because they knew the G was going to be coming online. That was included in the ridership numbers, even though we didn't have a train. So we had this before and after comparison. So in 2018, they identified the park and rides in District L in Arvada. And I can tell you at that time, ridership for people driving to the park and ride, not boarding at a corner outside of a park and ride, but for people driving to a park and ride and then getting on board a bus, maybe a bus that went, an express downtown or something like that. That number was in the hundreds. It wasn't even in the high hundreds overall for all the park and rides. But once the G line, with its new park and rides, expanded park and rides, the parking garage, and the frequent service was put into place, well, right away we saw a pretty big boost. But even after the pandemic knocked that pre-pandemic ridership down to half or maybe a little bit more of the prior ridership, we still had thousands of people a day, and do now, and it's growing, who are riding transit who had not been prior to 2019 when the G line was built. So even if you can say that we've seen a big hit on our ridership as a result of the pandemic, in District L at least, what we actually have relative to just a couple of years ago is many more thousands of people who are riding transit every day, every single day. So I think we have this wonderful opportunity through the G line, through the B line, and our other routes, plus feeder service through the buses, the interconnecting bus service, plus these partnerships, to actually see that go up even higher. And in the near term is my hope. So thank you very much, everybody. I want to say especially to Roger and all the staff members, I'm able to be here one night. They've handled 15 of these so far, so I want to thank you. I want to thank people who have been writing and close myself with my contact information, and encourage anybody to reach out with a question either tonight or whenever something crops up, or if you have a concern about train horns or anything. My number is, this is my cell, 720-935-9224, 720-935-9224. You can reach me at Shelley.Cook, and Shelley has that extra E, SHELLEY.Cook, COOK, at rtd-denver.com. Shelley.Cook at rtd-denver.com. Thank you all very much for the time you spent with us tonight.
All right, thank you, Director. I think we have time to squeeze in one more question, so I'll read a question submitted online from KT. How far ahead will service alerts be available online for bus and rail? And maybe someone could talk about how those drop runs, how that occurs. and what the extra board is.
All right, this is Tegan with Service Development. So the extra board are operators that actually bid to be on the extra board so that they fill in whatever runs we know are going to be missing, or if an operator calls in sick. And then as far as the dropped runs, they send out the rider alerts through, sorry, I'm trying to remember the whole question because it's not showing up in my queue. And then the rider alerts are sent out as soon as within 30 minutes of notification of an operator calling in. But if we know ahead of time, oftentimes you'll get the notifications first thing in the morning. My email is usually pretty full with all the drop trips that I subscribe to. And otherwise, they also will reinstate service. So you'll also occasionally get a submittal that they found an operator to cover a run. And so they'll let you know which trips were reinstated from what was already planned to be canceled for that day.
All right, thank you. KT, if you know anyone that might be interested in driving a bus for us, send them to our website because we desperately need operators. All right, well, here are the results of our final survey question. We asked, how satisfied are you with RTD services overall? 27% said, well, 37% said somewhat very dissatisfied, 27% somewhat dissatisfied, and 18% are either satisfied or very satisfied. Well, we're sorry to hear that, and as we've tried to share tonight, we are working very hard to improve service and deal with this staffing shortage that is a real problem. Director, we have come to the end of the hour. Do you have any other final closing remarks?